This is the Mi Note 10. It's so similar to the Mi Note 10 Pro. There are only 3 differences. The first is that the Mi Note 10 Pro has an extra lens element on its primary camera. That's 8 elements instead of 7. The next is that the Mi Note 10 Pro has more RAM, 8 GB instead of 6. And the final one is it has double the storage, 256 GB instead of 128 GB, which means there is no Snapdragon 855 processor or 855 Plus in the Pro variant. So this is a mid-range powered phone with its Snapdragon 730G with high-end specs pretty much everywhere else. I've been using it for 3 days and I'm going to run through my experiences. Before I do, if you're not already subscribed, please do. It's how you stay on top of everything that I do. Right, back to this phone, and the screen is 6.47 inches. It's big. Water droplet display, virtually identical to a Huawei P30 Pro, and it's compounded when you look at the back of it. This is basically the breathing crystal version. It even has a flat bottom and top of the P30 Pro. And the P30 Pro is beautiful, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I've loved my time using this when it comes to the design, but originality is definitely not what Xiaomi was going for with this, at least not with the design. One thing the P30 Pro doesn't have is a 3.5mm headphone jack down at the base, which is very, very handy for headphone lovers. Around the back, you've also got another camera on top of what you'd find on the P30 Pro, or another camera surround. So around the back, it's a penta camera, 5 cameras. You've got the primary 108 megapixel camera, you've got a secondary 2x zoom camera, you have another 5x zoom camera. Now that 5x zoom camera and the primary camera both have optical image stabilization. Then you've got the ultra wide 117-degree field of view camera, and there is a macro camera as well. 2 megapixels to capture really, really close up content. And it can also capture 960 frames per second video. But the 4K caps out at 30 frames per second, thank you mid-range processor. On the front, all beautiful screen-wise, it's a full HD plus screen, so it's not the sharpest out there, but it is an AMOLED display. Nice, punchy colors, deep dark blacks. And it gets up to a maximum of 600 nits brightness. The front and back are shielded by Gorilla Glass 5, and the frame is metal and feels premium. And there's an IR blaster up top as well, so it's a remote control. I really like it, but it really, really is a P30 Pro. But it's cheaper. It costs 549 euros for the regular version. That's the Mi Note 10. For the Mi Note 10 Pro, you're going to pay 649 euros. It also introduces MIUI 11, Xiaomi's interface. I personally would install a custom launcher over it, but it's perfectly usable and it's perfectly smooth. Where I did notice a few performance hiccups was when it came to that camera. Only because you're processing out such big photos that it can leave you waiting for a couple of seconds after you've taken a photo. And that's not just the 108 megapixel photos, it's also regular photos too on occasions. The camera performance, however, has been stellar in all but the darkest situations. The detail that you can grab from that 108 megapixel primary camera is mind-bending. I was able to make crops of crops of crops. It's just so staggering if you feed it good light. As soon as lighting becomes an issue, that's when dynamic range kind of falls at the wayside, and it doesn't quite manage contrast as well as your iPhones or your Pixels, not by a long stretch. But if detail's what you're after, nothing else will come close to this. That Snapdragon 730 processor was able to play games with no issues. Injustice 2 played beautifully and captured and played back 4K video and all that jazz. Multitasking with apps. I didn't notice it was too aggressive with force closing background processors either. So it's looking good from a performance point of view, but be warned, if you really like quick firing a whole load of pictures, you won't be able to. And I literally mean you can take a picture, and before you can take another one, it has to finish processing out the one you took. So you just have to wait a little bit, and that's a bit of a shame if I'm totally honest. What isn't a shame is the battery life here. You've got a 5260 milliamp battery, as well as 30-watt fast charging, and it ships with the fast charger as well. So it easily lasts a day. It won't make it to 2 if you're a power user, definitely didn't for me, but a full day without breaking a sweat and plenty of picture taking in the process. I'm a little bit upset about the storage. 128 gigabytes is great. Great starting capacity, don't get me wrong, and it puts the Pixel 4s to shame. But there is no microSD card expansion here. So if you are, again, a power user, you may want to just go for the Pro variant, which will set you back 649 euros. At 549 euros, though, I'm impressed with this phone. It's also got biometric security, the in-screen fingerprint scanner is great, and using it day to day has been a pleasure. Is it the best camera phone in the world? If all you're after is detail, absolutely. But if you're after dynamic range, there are better options out there. As for its night mode, it's fine, but it isn't a patch on the Pixel 4 or the Huawei P30 Pro, or indeed the iPhone 11 Pro. That's been my 3 days with the Xiaomi Mi 10. If you've got any questions about it, please fire them in the comments section below. If you like this video, click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, please. Thank you. Bye.